So Amazon, the retail juggernaut that is no longer just a retail juggernaut. It once destroyed the bookstore industry and is now building physical bookstores of their own. They operate hundreds of warehouses the size of many football fields put together, each one, that are staffed with very few employees. It's one of the biggest companies in the world, but makes very small profits compared with its enormous revenue. Amazon's growth has been so strong that last year it accounted for half of the growth in the e-commerce industry in the US. So why is Amazon so successful? I think it comes down to a couple of factors. The first one being trust and customer satisfaction. So Amazon is consistently ranked in consumer polls as being one of the most reputable, trusted, beloved companies in America. And they do have legendary customer service. That's kind of at the core of it. Customers know that if they buy something and it doesn't work out, if it doesn't arrive, if it's too big or too small, they know that they can return it really easily and Amazon will take care of it. Their customer service is fantastic. Their promise to customers is fantastic and they deliver on it consistently. So there is that trust there that nothing's going to go wrong. Or if something goes wrong, it will be made right. The second factor at the core of Amazon's success is the Prime program. And the Prime program is Amazon's kind of loyalty program where people pay $99 a year for access to Prime. And it gives them a whole host of benefits, some entertainment, cloud storage, things like that. But the most important benefit is free 2-day shipping on millions of Prime eligible items. So this means I can buy something on Prime with my Prime membership today and it's guaranteed delivery in 2 days' time. And that's a very compelling idea for people. So the Prime program, when it was first dreamed up by Amazon CEO, he was kind of laughed out of the room because it seemed so ludicrous and such a way to waste money. But Amazon Prime members actually spend a lot more each year than their non-Prime counterparts. And it's really become a very important flywheel in Amazon's growth and the way that they're able to retain customers so well. On top of the fact that people spend more with Prime in general, there's a lot of customers who will only buy Prime eligible items. They'll actually just filter out all of the items that are not Prime eligible because they really want to rely on that guaranteed 2-day free shipping. They know if something is shipped from Amazon that they're going to get it and they're going to get it on time and they're going to be happy with it. So I'll give you a brief little intro into how Amazon works from a fulfillment standpoint. And there's really two main programs that Amazon offers to brands selling on their platform. The first is the vendor program, where you're selling on a wholesale basis to Amazon. So they'll place purchase orders of wholesale amounts of inventory and you fulfill those purchase orders and then you get paid. It's a very classic sort of wholesale retail relationship. And the other method of selling on Amazon is selling as a merchant on their platform. So you're not actually selling to Amazon, you're selling directly to the customer and Amazon takes a cut of that sale. Within the merchant program, you have 2 different options for fulfilling the orders. You can ship your inventory to Amazon's warehouses and have them fulfill all of the customer orders for you, or you can fulfill directly from your own store, warehouse, 3PL, etc. And that's called merchant fulfilled. And so one thing to note about all of these programs is that if you use the vendor program or fulfilled by Amazon, that means that your items will be Prime eligible and they'll get that little badge that says Prime and ultimately more sales of your product. Something that everyone always wants to know about is fees. So with the vendor program, you're selling on a wholesale basis to Amazon. You're going to negotiate with Amazon what the purchase price of those products are. And there might be some other ancillary fees for selling on Amazon. With the FBA program and merchant fulfilled, basically you pay a percentage of that item's value to Amazon as a fee. It depends on the category that you're selling in. It's often 15%. And if you're using FBA, then you're going to pay a few dollars to Amazon to fulfill each order. Part of that is flat fees, order handling fees, pick and pack fees, and part of it is weight-based fees as well. So it's difficult to say exactly how much you're going to pay with FBA without knowing the exact dimensions of your product, the categories, and a few other pieces of required information. So the way Amazon operates as a marketplace is a little bit different to, say, eBay, where you can have multiple sellers selling the same product with different listings of that product. On Amazon, a single SKU can only have one page, and you might have multiple sellers of that same product competing for the customer's business. And the way that works is that you'll have a single product page for each SKU and multiple sellers of that item. So naturally, Amazon needs to figure out which seller to award each sale to. And the way that they manage to do that is through this concept called the buy box. And that basically means whichever seller wins the sale is the one that owns the box that says buy now. So a few different factors come into this algorithm that determines who gets the sale. Some of it is depending on the price that the merchant sets. Some of it is depending on the track record of the merchant. A big weighting factor is whether the item is Prime eligible or not. So you can price the item a little higher and still win the buy box if you're the only Prime eligible seller for that product. And finally, if you're a vendor selling directly to Amazon, then they're likely to keep the buy box for themselves. So the buy box is an important concept for merchants selling on Amazon, especially if you know that you're going to be competing with other sellers and selling the same product as other sellers. So Amazon is a notoriously secretive company, and there's a lot that we don't know about Amazon's planned launch in Australia. But here's what we do know. We do know that Amazon Fresh will make an appearance. They've been hiring for this particular subsidiary of Amazon. And so Amazon Fresh is kind of the equivalent to Coles and Woolworths online, where you can select from a big variety of grocery items and have them delivered to your door for a delivery fee or membership into a delivery program. One of the criticisms about Amazon launching in Australia so far has been that the cost of delivering the same service in Australia is going to be a lot higher because of the geographical spread of the population of the country, and also the fact that our wages are higher than in the US. And that is all true, but what lots of people forget is that Amazon is pretty good about reducing the number of human workers in their operation, particularly from an operations and fulfillment standpoint. And secondly, that they are a huge company with very deep profits, and it's pretty normal for them to go into a market or deliver a service at a break-even rate or even at a loss initially until they gain a foothold in the market. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Amazon appearing to lose money with their Australian operation, at least initially, so they can get all the market share and then begin to address the profitability need later down the line. So Amazon's also likely to enforce sellers collecting and remitting GST on the platform, particularly international sellers. So in the US, sellers were previously responsible for collecting and remitting sales tax in each of the states that they had a tax nexus in. In the UK and EU, new sellers were required to provide their VAT registration number when they first signed up to sell on the platform. So Amazon as a platform is wanting to comply with every country's regulations around consumption tax. And in some cases, the burden was placed on the seller. In other cases, Amazon has agreed to take on the burden of collecting and remitting consumption tax. Further, the Australian government has announced some changes that would make the collection and remittance of GST quite an onerous task for sellers. So we're yet to see how all this is going to shake out, both from Amazon's standpoint and the Australian government as well. And what we definitely don't know yet is when Amazon Australia is going to launch. We don't have an indication yet of whether that's going to be in 2017 for sure or 2018. We do know that they have opened up early registration for brands in Australia. So you can go over to that landing page they've set up and register your interest right at this time. But there's still no information about what the timeline is. We don't know what the placement of Amazon's fulfillment centers will look like. It kind of makes logical sense that they would put a fulfillment center in each of the 4 major Australian capital cities where 2/3 of the population is located, but even then we don't know that for sure. And as a result of this, we don't know exactly what the Prime program is going to look like in Australia. For such a big country, if they only put fulfillment centres on the East Coast, we don't know if they're going to be able to fulfill to West Australia, for example, within a 2-day time frame. So we don't know if the Prime program will exist or whether it will look like more like 3 to 4 day free shipping. That's yet to be determined. Based on a track record from other countries, the Prime program can look a little bit different to what is available in the US. So in Mexico, which was launched just in the last couple of years, they only just added the Prime program on 1 million items in the last couple of months. So it was actually a while before they even offered Prime to Mexican customers. So this has been a recap of what we know about Amazon's launch in Australia, what we don't know about Amazon's launch in Australia, and also some basics about how Amazon works for sellers on their platform. Stay tuned for our next video, which is going to be about how to prepare for Amazon's launch in Australia. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to get notified of that video when it goes live.